I thought I'd make another violin vibrato video. This is not to replace any of the videos I've made before. It's really to address an issue that a lot of people are bringing up, and that is that when they work on their vibrato, their hand gets really tired. So obviously tension is getting in the way. And you know, you're trying to get it through sheer effort, but that often just, it's like you try harder, but I think we need to learn to try smarter here. Alright, so let me give you a few new exercises. We're going to start without the violin, alright? What I want you to do is take your left arm and bring it like we're going to be under the violin, but then drop it and brace it against your rib cage. So the arm can't really move. Okay? Then we're going to take our right hand, set it underneath the wrist joint, and we're going to take the hand which is in an alignment with the wrist, with the forearm, and we're going to just rotate it away from you. See that gap created? And then we'll go back. Now, that's not a large motion, just a small motion. Now, when you're doing that, do you feel any tension? Hopefully not. This is called the wrist or hand vibrato. It's not arm vibrato. Arm vibrato includes all of this. But right now, this is the vibrato to start with. Okay. Now, if you can do that with no effort, you're on the right track. Let's move on. The next thing is, how do we add the hold to the violin and still avoid tension? Okay, so we're going to start with the thumb. I want you to take 2 fingers of your right hand, pointer and your middle, and I want you to set it in this space between your thumb and your first finger. Leave this down here. Don't go down there. Okay? Now, I want you to then take your pinky. Look at my alignment right now. My hand is running this way. Take your pinky and bring it up like we're going to be able to reach the string. A lot of people do it from here, and that doesn't transfer to what we'll be doing later. So bring your pinky around. Then I want you to think about your thumb. Put your first finger in this gap here and line it up with your thumb. Okay? Now remember, you brought your pinky around. Now take your wrist and try and do that. What happens to the thumb? It goes forward. So we have to learn to do this and keep the thumb immobile. Okay? Make sense? That motion, you could hang on to it once and just do this. Remember, it's a small motion. A lot of my students will start doing it from the knuckles only. Remember, it has to come from here. Just this. Okay? So go back to this now. The next squeeze point is this side of the first finger. And that's a real problem. There's no question. You have to eventually learn how to glide the first finger of the left hand against the neck like that. I know some teachers who will say, okay, you have to come off to do vibrato. And you know what? At this stage, that might be okay. You could train your hand to feel that sensation. So you'd be coming away slightly and still going in this motion. Do you see that? Okay, but eventually I think you should come back. You don't want to have a hand position where you use all your fingers and then a hand position where you vibrato. 2 hand positions, that's messy. We don't want that. So you can first come slightly away and then learn to do it as a brushing sensation. Okay, and remember to try and do it with your fingers over your string here. See my thumb? You will sometimes see a sense of motion in the skin of the thumb, but my contact point doesn't change. Alright? Now the next major hurdle is how we can apply weight to the left fingers and still create vibrato. It's very challenging. Okay? I'm going to start with my second finger. If I put the finger down and then I do this motion, let's say we're going to create a line here with the thumb and the middle finger. See how they start together? And I pull away, then I lose my pitch, my note, totally out of tune. So I still have to be able to do the motion, but the note has to stay in place. So I've talked about this before, finger flexibility. How do we do that? How do we create finger flexibility? Well, I want to give you a new trick here. Take your first finger of your right hand. I want you to just drop it down into this gap between your left hand, first finger, and thumb. Create a line with your thumb and your first finger. Now again, we're going to do this with our second finger. So take your second finger and set it next to my thumbnail, touching the side of my first finger. Okay, now again from the wrist, I'm still bracing it. I'm going to pull my hand away. Now, can you do it without losing your contact point? What you have to do is flatten the fingernail slightly, not the fingernail, the first knuckle. Now, to do that, I'm not pushing it down. I don't push it. I allow it to give as I move away. And it's a very small motion. Very small. I'll try to give you a couple angles here. So, am I squeezing? No, I'm just rolling it. See that rolling motion there? But basically, I'm setting it against the side of the first finger and allowing it to give. In no way am I squeezing that first finger. Alright, that may or may not help clarify something as far as how much tension did it take to actually push that against the side of this finger. Very little. I mean, I don't feel much at all. Now I'm going to get my violin here. I'm going to hold it in guitar manner. Okay, I'm going to set it here in this contact point that I told you about. Don't go all the way down here. Cradle it. Then I'm going to take my second finger. Remember, I'm just holding it like a guitar. Second finger on the A string, somewhere between here and here. Some people like, and I've talked about bracing it. So you take this part of the hand, brace it against the ribs. That works really well at first. Take your second finger, put on the A string, push the string down maybe halfway, no more. Now by doing that, I will create this noise when I do the vibrato. Remember, start from neutral, go away from you, back to neutral. You hear that slide? Okay. Now I can keep it still and not push it down any harder by just, we could even do this trick where I talked about coming slightly away with the side of the first finger so there's no clutching here. Remember, I don't want you to get into that habit all the time. It's just an initial sense of freedom, okay? And then you roll to the back of the finger. And then come back to your starting point. Now try it with your hand touching on both sides. You still hear that noise? It's not from the first finger anymore. It's from my skin of my first finger gliding against the neck. That's all that is. And it's a very small motion. Okay? So we start, I'm going to use the bow for a minute. We start from a straight line. I've showed you this before. And then go below it and come back to it. And when you first learn it, it will be really wobbly and kind of horrible. And that's alright. That's what you should expect. From here, go under it. See how this collapsed slightly? And then come back to your starting point. Now at this point we probably have to get the elbow off of the stomach. Learn it in bursts then. Just do one. And then try and do two. Sometimes it really helps to put your thumb lower so you're supporting it more with the underside of the thumb and not from here where you're squeezing it. So then that frees this side up to just glide. Very important. Try bringing your thumb lower if you're squeezing. Okay? So that's our goal. But you have to build it up slowly. So we have to get rid of these clutch points or these squeeze points. Vibrato should not be something that is learned through sheer effort and tension. You know, you have to understand what it feels like to do this in a relaxed manner. Otherwise, you choke. Okay? Happy New Year. I hope that you can have some success with this. Good luck.